Guys, we're back. We're reacting to Zack D film. Exactly D films, but Roblox edition. If you don't know Zack D films, you're literally living under a rock. Let me show you one of his videos.
Close together. Then rest your index and middle fingers along the top. Now extend your thumb and squeeze, creating gaps between the cards. As you increase the pressure, they slip from your thumb one at a time, shooting into your other hand, which you'll need to curl into a claw, with your pinky blocking the bottom edge. Then keep the squeeze slow and steady. And with enough practice, you can work your way up to a full deck. Keep your hands...
Zack D films. But we're reacting to baseplate. This is baseplate. So let's react to his videos, guys. So...
There is a terrifying sleep glitch that proves you might not actually be awake right now. It's called a false awakening. Imagine you wake up, get out of bed, brush your teeth, and start your day. Everything feels completely normal. But then, boom, you suddenly wake up back in your bed. You never left. Your brain just created a fake copy of your morning to trick you into staying asleep. For some, this turns into an absolute nightmare. They get stuck in loops, waking up 5 to 10 times in a row, only to realize they are still dreaming. They are trapped inside their own heads, screaming to wake up, completely unable to tell if reality is real anymore. So how do you know you are actually awake right now? Look at a clock or try to read a book. The brain is terrible at creating letters and numbers while asleep. If the words blur together or look like weird alien symbols, you need to wake up. There is a terrifying sleep glitch. This guy woke up from a 5-year coma, only to realize his waking life was the actual nightmare. After a brutal accident, he slips into a vegetative state. But inside his mind, his brain builds a terrifying apocalyptic wasteland. For 5 agonizing years, he fights just to survive. Then suddenly, he snaps awake in a hospital bed. His family is crying tears of joy. He spends months in rehab, finds the love of his life, and gets his perfect reality back. But one night, he's eating a steak when the meat suddenly tastes like ash. The waiter's face glitches, a deafening siren blares, and the sky literally rips open in half. The terrifying truth hits him. He never actually woke up. His brain was just letting him taste happiness one last time before throwing him straight back into the apocalyptic nightmare. So if your life feels completely perfect right now, are you sure you're actually awake? If you are ever completely alone and about to die, someone will come to help you. It's called the third man factor, and it is one of the most terrifying but amazing survival mysteries on Earth. For decades, mountain climbers, shipwreck survivors, and explorers who are pushed to the absolute edge of death report the exact same thing. A mysterious, unseen presence suddenly joins them. People stranded in the snow say they feel a shadow walking right beside them, offering them advice, keeping them awake, and guiding them to safety. But the second they are rescued, the presence vanishes completely. Scientists have no idea why this happens. Some think it's a guardian angel, while others think your dying brain splits its consciousness in half, creating an imaginary friend just to force your body to survive. If you are ever in danger, being in a massive crowd might actually get you killed. It sounds backward, but it's a terrifying reality called the bystander effect. If you get hurt in front of one person, they will almost always help you. But if you collapse in front of 50 people, nobody lifts a finger. Why? Because everyone's brain instantly assumes someone else will do it. The entire crowd thinks the exact same thing, so everyone just stands there frozen. But there's a life-saving trick to break this weird trance. If you ever need help, never just yell into the air. Instead, single someone out, lock eyes, and point directly at them. Say, "You in a red shirt, call 911." By giving one specific person a direct command, you completely shatter the group illusion. You force them to take individual responsibility, snapping them into action. It's a simple trick, but knowing it could literally save your life. One of the most insane things I learned is that if aliens are out there, from their perspective, Earth literally hasn't even formed yet. We've been blasting radio signals since 1974, basically screaming, "We're here!" into the void. But those signals have only traveled about 200 light years. In a galaxy this massive, that's barely an inch. If aliens are living just 80 light years away and look our way, they don't see us. They see World War II still happening in real time. If they're 65 million light years out, they aren't seeing cities or technology. They're watching dinosaurs walk the planet. If you are ever in danger, one of the most insane things I learned is that if aliens are out there, from their perspective, Earth literally hasn't even formed yet. We've been blasting radio signals about 200 light years. In a galaxy this massive, that's barely an inch. If aliens are living just 80 light years away and look our way, they don't see us. They see World War II still happening in real time. If they're 65 million light years out, they aren't seeing cities or technology. They're watching dinosaurs walk the planet. But here's the kicker. The universe is 93 billion light years across. This means for 95% of the places life could be hiding, Earth is still just empty space. We aren't being ignored by some advanced civilization or a hidden galactic empire. To the rest of the universe, we just haven't spawned in yet. Scientists accidentally discovered what happens inside your brain when you die, and the answer is kind of beautiful. In 2016, an elderly patient passed away during a brain scan, and because the machine was still recording, doctors captured the first ever footage of a dying human brain. What they saw is actually mind-blowing. For 30 seconds after his heart stopped, his brain didn't shut down. It sent out a final massive burst of activity. But here's the crazy part. These weren't random signals. They were gamma oscillations, the exact same brain waves that fire when you're dreaming or recalling deep memories. This basically confirms the oldest theory in existence. Your life really does flash before your eyes. It suggests that in our final moments, we aren't suffering. We are replaying our greatest hits, your first love, your childhood, viewing the highlight reel of your life one last time. Scientists, this man lived an entire 10 years of his life as a millionaire, only to realize none of it actually happened. He's 25 when a horrific...
I don't know what the heck is wrong. This guy is dumb.
Head-on collision sends his car flipping. Expecting to die, his vision goes black, but instead, he wakes up as a teenager. Given a miracle second second chance, he uses his future knowledge to buy crypto, save his dad from a fatal illness, and marry his soulmate. For a full decade, his life is perfect. But exactly 10 years later, he's in his mansion holding his newborn baby when reality breaks. The baby's face distorts. The walls shatter like glass. He's violently teleported back to his flipping car, midair, a split second before hitting the ground. He didn't time travel. When you die, your brain floods with a chemical that stretches out how you experience time. That perfect 10-year life, his dying brain just made it up in his final 7 seconds just to comfort him before death. This man lived in an... Isn't it crazy that on one side of Earth, there's literally no land? It looks like a massive water planet. This is Point Nemo, the most isolated spot in the world, and it's honestly terrifying. If you were stuck here on a boat, the closest humans to you wouldn't be on land. They'd be the astronauts on the International Space Station, orbiting just 250 miles above you. The next closest people are on Easter Island, which is over 1,600 miles away. But it gets weirder. This is the exact location where the bloop was recorded, a massive mystery sound that once shook the entire Pacific. While skeptics say it was just ice, these are the same coordinates of the lost city where Lovecraft said Cthulhu is imprisoned. So, was the bloop actually a monster? Something massive is down there in the dark just waking up, and we are just floating on the surface like fish. If you are ever in a familiar place and it is completely silent, your brain thinks you are about to die. Ever walked into an empty indoor pool or a deserted playground and felt an instant wave of panic? It feels straight up creepy, like you shouldn't be there. But you aren't just being paranoid. This is a deep survival instinct. Thousands of years ago, humans relied on background noise to know they were safe. Birds chirping or leaves moving meant everything was fine. But if the forest suddenly went dead silent, it meant a dangerous predator was hiding nearby. Today, your DNA still has that exact same alarm system. When you stand in a place that should be full of loud, screaming kids, but instead it's completely silent, your brain hits the panic button. It just assumes the absolute worst. Whatever scared everyone else away is still out there with you right now. If you are ever in... This man lost his mind because his wife kept a spare bedroom locked, and the truth is devastating. She wore the only key around her neck and strictly forbade him from entering. Paranoia quickly took over. He stopped sleeping, convinced she was hiding a dark secret or another man. At 3 a.m., he'd press his ear to the door and hear her softly crying. Finally, he snapped. He grabbed a crowbar and violently smashed the door open, ready to expose her secret. But he froze. There was no money, no other man, just an empty baby nursery with a small crib covered in dust. Suddenly, groceries hit the floor behind him. His wife stood there. Tears. Why is this locked? She fell to her knees, sobbing. Because you have severe memory loss from a car crash. Every time you see this room, you remember our daughter didn't survive, and you lose your mind all over again. This man lost. A bully throws a quiet kid's laptop into a swimming pool, laughing as it sinks. He had no idea he just sealed his own tragic fate. The kid broke down, explaining the laptop held research for a medical scholarship, his only escape from poverty. The bully told him to go flip burgers. The kid dropped out, his dreams crushed, while the bully got filthy rich and married his sweetheart. But 15 years later, karma hits hard. His wife gets a rare, aggressive brain tumor with no known cure. Desperate, the millionaire spends a fortune trying to heal her, until a doctor reveals a student once proposed a theoretical cure, but vanished. He demands to fund the research instantly, but when the doctor shows a picture of the student, he stares at the screen in pure horror. The photo shows the quiet kid. The exact cure to save his wife was on the laptop he destroyed. Remember, bridges you burn today might be the only ones that can save you tomorrow. Bully throws. Astronauts suffer from a condition that completely ruins their lives. Overview effect, and it literally breaks their brains. When they go to space and look down at Earth, they don't see a massive world. They see a tiny, fragile blue ball floating in an endless, terrifying void of nothingness. In that exact second, reality fundamentally snaps. All the things we care about down here, borders, politics, money, or even just being embarrassed, suddenly seem incredibly stupid. You realize we are just fighting over invisible lines on a literal speck of dust. But here's the tragic part. When these astronauts finally come back, they can't unsee it. They are forced back into a society obsessed with pointless drama. Many return feeling completely isolated because they can no longer relate to normal human problems. They went to space as heroes, but came back feeling like aliens on their own planet. Astronauts suffer from a condition that completely ruins their lives. It's called the overview effect. A man and a woman meet in a coffee shop and instantly fall in love. They have the exact same bizarre birthmark, share weird memories, and finish each other's sentences. They get married and spend 3 perfect years together. But one night, the wife starts violently coughing. She looks at him terrified and whispers, "They're pulling the plug." Then she dissolves into thin air. The husband wakes up gasping in a real-world hospital bed. A nurse rushes over crying that he finally woke up from a 3-year coma. He looks at the bed next to him, and a dead woman is lying there. It was his wife. They were two strangers in comas whose dying brains somehow synced frequencies to create a shared multiplayer dream. She died in real life, so she vanished from his. Now he has to spend the rest of his life mourning a soulmate he technically never even met. A girl was sitting on a subway late at night when she noticed the woman across from her was staring at her intently. The woman sat frozen between 2 old men, and no matter how many times the girl looked away, the stare never broke. It was starting to seriously freak her out. At the next stop, a tall man in a trench coat stepped on and sat down right beside her. The woman didn't even glance at her. She just kept locking eyes with the girl, who got more and more creeped out as the seconds dragged on. The 2 old men never moved, never blinked. As the train pulled into the next stop, the man in the trench coat suddenly grabbed her arm and dragged her off onto the platform. The train pulled away and she started screaming for help. Sure, she'd just been kidnapped. So the man said, "Calm down, I just saved your life. That woman across from you was dead." And the 2 men beside her were holding up her body. The girl was sitting on a subway late at... You might be living an entire fake life right now. There's a famous story of a guy who got knocked out, and what happened next is terrifying. He didn't just have a normal dream. His brain created a full 10-year life. He met a woman, got married, had kids, and felt every single day pass normally. But one day, he noticed a lamp in his living room. It looked completely wrong. It was flat and fuzzy, almost like a glitch. He got obsessed. He sat on a chair staring at this lamp for 3 straight days. His wife was crying, begging him to snap. He got obsessed. He sat on a chair staring at his lamp for 3 straight days. His wife was crying, begging him to snap out of it, but he couldn't look away. Suddenly, the lamp grew larger until his entire world completely shattered. He woke up on the floor. Only a few minutes had actually passed. He had to spend years mourning a wife and kids that never even existed. If your brain can fake a perfect 10-year life in just 5 minutes, how do you know the room you're sitting in right now is real? You might be living an entire fake life. A daughter hated her father growing up. While other dads went to games, hers was always working. He wore cheap clothes and obsessed over every penny. At 18, she called him a greedy coward and left home. She got rich building a huge business and ignored his calls for 10 years. Then one day the police called. Her dad died alone. Rolling her eyes, she went to grab his hidden money. But inside his safe, there was zero cash. Just a bank paper showing $0 and old hospital letters. She read the first one and her stomach dropped. As a baby, she had a deadly heart disease. The surgery cost $500,000 and insurance refused to pay. Her dad wasn't greedy. He worked 3 brutal jobs his whole life to pay the massive bill that saved her. He kept it secret so she'd never feel guilty. His last letter was written the day she left. My debt is finally paid. My little girl gets to live a full life. I am the richest man in the world. Daughter hated her father. A man faked his own death, then went to his own funeral just to see who would actually care. And what he saw will completely change how you live your life. He expected a massive crowd, but only 11 people showed up. His wife cried for exactly 4 minutes. Then she pulled out her phone to scroll. His best friend of 30 years didn't even bother coming. His co-workers weren't even mourning. They were literally standing near the casket laughing about a work project. And the priest, he pronounced his name wrong twice. He quietly went home, looked in the mirror, and understood. He had spent 60 years performing for an audience that wasn't watching. Every single sacrifice. Every time he stressed over, what will people think? Every dream sacrificed to meet someone else's expectation. All of it for 11 people and a mispronounced name. Man faked it. Lucid dreaming is the closest thing that any of us will ever have to superpowers. It lets you wake up inside your mind and fully control your dreams. But most people never experience it, or they wake up the second they realize it's happening.
I actually have lucid dreaming. Actually, I'm not pranking you guys.
Here is the blueprint to hack your sleep tonight. First, set an alarm 5 hours in your sleep to interrupt your dream cycle. Stay awake for 30 minutes to make your brain active. Then go back to bed repeating, I will remember I'm dreaming. During the day, constantly ask yourself if you're dreaming. This trains your brain to do the exact same thing once you are in the dream world. Finally, keep a journal by your bed. The exact second you wake up, write down everything you remember to force your brain to recognize dream patterns. Master this, and sleep stops being random. You'll be stepping into a world where you make the rules. Lucid dream. 2 brothers were trapped in rubble after a building collapsed. They had 1 canteen of water. To survive, they agreed to pass it back and forth. But every time it was the older brother's turn, the younger one listened to him, gulping loudly. He grew bitter, sitting there in the dark while his brother took what sounded like massive, greedy pulls, leaving almost nothing behind. When rescuers finally broke through days later, they found the younger brother alive, holding the empty canteen. The older brother was dead beside him. The autopsy revealed the brutal truth. The older brother died of severe dehydration. He never drank a single drop. In the dark, he had just faked the swallowing sounds so his little brother would unknowingly drink the entire canteen himself. The younger brother had spent his last days underground hating the man who was silently sacrificing his life for him. Brothers were trapped. Every person you've ever met is literally just you. A man is walking to work when a car suddenly hits and kills him. He instantly wakes up in a pitch-black void talking to a godlike entity. He asks if he's going to heaven or hell. The entity says neither. He's being reincarnated. But when he asks who he'll be next, the answer breaks his brain. A Chinese peasant girl in 540 AD. He's confused, pointing out time doesn't work backward. That's when the entity drops the wildest plot twist ever. Time isn't linear, and this man is actually ever existed. Every time you help someone, you help yourself. Every person you hurt yourself. You are living every single life across all of history, one by one. The entire universe is basically just a cosmic egg. Once you've lived through every human experience, you'll finally mature enough to hatch into a god. Every person you've ever met, if you plant a Chinese bamboo tree, you'll see absolutely nothing for the first 4 years. 365 days, 0 growth. You're out there every day hauling water, staring at dead dirt. Neighbors laugh, saying you're watering a...
What?
Growth. You're out there every day hauling water, staring at dead dirt. Neighbors laugh, saying you're watering a grave. They point at nearby trees and say, now that's real growth. By year 3, you start to doubt yourself. Is the seed rotten? This is the exact moment 99% of people quit. 99% of people quit, but they have no idea what's happening underground.
Oh, the white
moment 99% of people quit, but they have no idea what's happening underground. That bamboo isn't dead. People quit, but they have no idea what's happening underground. That bamboo isn't dead. It's growing a massive root system.
Ahmed.
Moment 99% of people quit, but they have no idea what's happening underground. That bamboo isn't dead. It's growing a massive root system in the dark, stretching hundreds of feet to handle the insane weight that's growing a massive root system in the dark, stretching hundreds of feet to handle the insane weight that's coming. Then, year 5 hits, and the miracle explodes. It shoots up and...
Shoots up what? Wow. The hell is the Wi-Fi crash? Oh.
That bamboo isn't dead. It's growing insane weight that's coming. Then, year 5 hits, and the miracle explodes. It shoots up an unbelievable 80 feet in just 6 weeks. Bro, that's not some random overnight success. That's 4 years of pent-up ambition detonating all at once. Remember, the growth that matters most is the kind you can't see. You plant a Chinese bamboo.
Bro, I just made the fun.
Your own friend friends might subconsciously want you to fail. It sounds toxic, but it's a terrifyingly real psychological trap called the crab bucket mentality. If you put a single crab in a bucket, it will easily climb out and escape. But drop a group of crabs in that exact same bucket and none of them will ever make it out. Why? Because the second one crab reaches the top and tries to break free, the others will literally reach up and drag it right back down into the pile. And the crazy part is, humans do the exact same thing. The second you start working out, studying hard, or actually chasing a massive goal, the people who are stuck in life will start to panic. They will actively try to sabotage you and drag you back down to their level just so your success doesn't make them feel bad about themselves. If you want to escape the bucket, you have to be careful who you're climbing with. A young couple bought a cheap, rundown house, but what they found inside is unbelievable. While tearing down a wall in the master bedroom, they uncovered a hidden metal box. Inside were dozens of beautifully written love letters from 1943. Inside were dozens of beautifully written love letters from 1943. Down house, but what they found inside is unbelievable. While tearing down a wall in the master bedroom, they uncovered a hidden metal box. Inside were dozens of beautifully written love letters from 1943. They belonged to a soldier named Arthur and a girl named Eleanor, who were tragically separated by the war. The couple spent nights reading them, crying over how deeply they loved each other, even though they never reunited. Obsessed with the story, they hired a genealogist to track down the families and return the letters. 3 weeks later, the genealogist called back, completely speechless. The boy was the great-grandson of Arthur. The girl was the great-granddaughter of Eleanor. Their great-grandparents never got their happy ending, but their bloodlines unknowingly found each other 80 years later, bringing the love story full circle. Young scientists wanted to see if dogs actually love their owners, or if we're just getting scammed for free food. To find out,
What? Scam for free food!
researchers pulled off something wild. They trained 80 fully awake dogs to lie perfectly still inside an active MRI machine just to scan their brains in real time. Then came the ultimate test. Dogs to lie perfectly still inside an active MRI machine.
What?
Just to scan their brains in real time. Then came the ultimate test. They gave the dogs 2 specific scents, a total stranger and their owner. Bro, the results are actually emotional. When the dogs smelled their humans, a specific part of their brain instantly lit up. If you compare that to a human brain, it is the exact same area that activates when we are deeply in love with someone. But it gets even crazier. They also found that when a dog simply locks eyes with you, their body releases oxytocin, the literal love chemical. So when your dog stares at you, they aren't just begging for treats, they are chemically bonding with you. Subscribe if you love dogs. Scientists wanted to imagine you woke up on a stair in the middle of the sky. No warning, just you stranded on an endless staircase so high you can't even see the ground. You try climbing down, but it's just endless open air. You try climbing up, but the steps stretch into infinity. Panic sets in. Because this is literally impossible, your brain tells you it must be a bizarre dream. That means all you have to do is jump off the edge to wake yourself up, right? But here's the terrifying twist. It feels way too real. If you jump and you're wrong, it's over. Hours turn into days, and your body is completely exhausted. You're terrified that if you finally close your eyes to sleep, you'll lose your balance and fall by accident. There is no other way out, and your time is rapidly running out. If you were actually trapped here, what would you do? Imagine you woke up on a... This astronaut was abandoned in space because his country ceased to exist. In 1991, Sergei Krikalev launched to a space station as a hero of the Soviet Union. But while he was 250 miles above Earth, his country collapsed and broke into 15 new nations. Suddenly, the space program was broke. There was zero money to bring him home, and nobody could agree on who should rescue him, so they just left him stranded. What was supposed to be a 5-month trip turned into almost a full year trapped in orbit. He had no clue when he'd return, surviving only because other countries sent up emergency food. He literally watched his homeland disappear from a spaceship window. When they finally brought him back in 1992, he stepped out wearing the uniform of a country that wasn't real anymore. He left Earth as a Soviet and returned to a world where his home was wiped from history. This astronaut was abandoned in... Scientists threw themselves off a 150-foot drop to answer one terrifying question. Does time actually slow down before you die? Car crashes, combat, a natural disaster, moments where death feels certain. Almost everyone who survives them reports the same thing. Time itself seemed to slow down. To test this, researchers free fell from a 150-foot platform onto a net. But here's the wild part. They wore a special watch flashing numbers way too fast to normally read. If time truly slowed down in a panic, they'd suddenly be able to see the numbers perfectly. After the jump, everyone swore their fall felt 36% longer. But here's the massive twist. Nobody could read the watch. Even though it felt like a slow-mo movie, their actual vision didn't speed up at all. So what's really happening? Your brain isn't slowing time down. It's just recording the trauma in ultra-high definition. Scientists...
Guys, this is another if you enjoyed. And if you want a part 2, like and subscribe.